The silent signal the sky turned red over the peaceful planet of Yalara. Birds stopped singing. Wind stopped blowing. In the distance, giant dark shapes moved across the clouds, ships, big and terrifying, blocking the sun. Children looked up. Confused, parents screamed, soldiers ran, but their weapons were no match. The Karax Dominion had arrived. Yalara was a calm world. Its people, the Yalari, had never known war. They lived in forests, built with nature, and taught their young to study the stars, not destroy them. They believed in peace, in trust, in helping others. They never thought the galaxy would turn its back on them. Inside a small underground tower, Elder Varus stood with shaking hands. He pressed buttons on an old transmitter, the last one still working. Around him, the building trembled. Explosions echoed above. His voice was weak, but steady. To anyone who hears this, we are under attack. We are not soldiers. We are not enemies. Please help us. He sent the message out, across the stars, across systems, across empty space. Then he closed his eyes. No one had answered their calls before. Why would anyone answer now? On the Karax command ship, the invaders laughed. General Rothik, tall and covered in black armor, watched as Yalari villages burned. They sent a signal. His second-in-command said, amused, to who? The stars. Rothik smiled coldly. Let them beg. No one is coming. He gave the order, no survivors. In a quiet corner of the Milky Way, far from most galactic traffic, one signal did reach its destination, a blue planet with green lands and deep oceans. Earth. In a deep facility under the Arctic ice, a light blinked on. A satellite dish turned slowly, and an old system built for forgotten wars came alive. An AI scanned the message, analyzed the voice, detected truth, detected innocent blood. Then, without alarm, it sent a short signal to a command center. 2 hours later, in low Earth orbit, a single black ship detached from the shadows. No markings, no sound. Inside it sat one human, Agent Kale from Ghost Unit 7. He was not a hero, he was not famous. But when Earth needed to answer a cry for help, it always started with one. Back on Yalara, the planet was dying, forests burned, temples exploded. The sky was now filled with Karax drones. Elder Varu sat beside a young girl, Rema, hiding in the roots of an old tree. She whispered, why does no one help us? Varu did not reply. He simply held her hand. Suddenly, the wind changed. The ground vibrated, but not like before, not from bombs, something smoother, controlled. Above them, a silent shape appeared through the smoke, not a Karax ship, something sleeker, darker. Human. The Karax soldiers heard the noise first, but it wasn't loud. It was a hum, a low tone, growing in the air. They looked up, saw nothing. Then their radios died. Then their power failed. Then their men started vanishing. Agent Kale moved like a shadow. No armor clanking, no words spoken, just movement, quick and silent. He marked enemy positions, recorded damage, saw the villages, saw the bodies. He didn't flinch. Earth had seen worse, but this was not going to be ignored. Kale knelt near a destroyed house, picked up a broken Yalari toy, placed it gently back down. Then he whispered 3 words into his mic, initiate protocol judgment. On Earth, a red code flashed across secure military networks. Commanders, scientists, and diplomats saw the same 3 words. Earth had stayed quiet for a long time. After the last galactic war, they had pulled back, watched, waited. But this was different. This was not politics. This was innocent blood spilled without reason. And for Earth, that was enough. In space above Yalara, a Karax warship blinked out of existence. No explosion, no fire. Just gone. On another, the crew screamed as their own systems locked them out. Their screen showed one thing, a human skull inside a white gear, the mark of Ghost Protocol. Then silence. Rothik stood at the edge of his ship's viewing deck. He watched as one of his command cruisers fell from the sky, not shot, but cut into for perfect pieces. His mouth fell open. What is this? His officer whispered. We didn't start this war. No, Rothik muttered. But someone's here to finish it, in the forest. Young Rema looked up as the black human ship lowered gently onto the grass. Agent Kale stepped out, removed his helmet. He looked at her, then at Elder Varu. We heard you. Varu's eyes filled with tears. You came. Kale nodded once. Not to talk, not to ask questions. He looked up at the smoky sky. We came to stop the monsters. Asterisk. No one came, except them. Smoke still rose from the forests of Yalara. The air smelled of ash and fear. Birds no longer sang. The ground, once covered in soft moss and glowing plants, now held only footprints of war. The Yalari people had always believed the galaxy was full of kindness, that if they were ever in danger, someone would come, a neighbor, a friend, anyone. But no one came, except the humans, and they didn't come with promises. They came with silence, with purpose, with fury. Agent Kale walked through the ruined village. With quiet steps, his helmet was off now, face calm, eyes scanning everything. Behind him, the human shuttle sat open, its systems humming softly. Elder Varro and little Rema followed from a distance. They watched him, unsure if he was soldier or something more. Kale knelt near a broken Yalari wall. He touched the edge of a deep scorch mark, ran his fingers across it like he was reading a story from the stone. This wasn't random, he said aloud, mostly to himself. This was organized destruction, targeted. Tactical. Varro stepped forward. Will your people stop them? Kale stood. They already have. He tapped a device on his arm. Miles away, a Karax supply ship exploded in the sky like a silent sun. In orbit, 3 human ships uncloaked. They weren't big, they weren't loud, but they were terrifying. Stealth-class interceptors shaped like arrows, coated in light-bending metal. No windows, no names, only purpose. One began to jam enemy communication. Another sent false data to Karax sensors. The third? It launched a drone, a smooth black sphere that drifted down toward the planet like a falling shadow. Inside that drone were 50,000 lines of code. Lines written by Earth's deadliest minds, not to kill. To crush. General Rothak watched the skies with narrowed eyes. First his scouts had stopped reporting. Then his outposts went quiet. Now his own command ship was seeing things that shouldn't exist. Enemy markers appearing and disappearing at random. Ghost signals, temperature drops. Static and systems that never failed. He roared, find them. A technician stammered, we don't know where to look, sir, they're not broadcasting anything. Rothak turned slowly, then searched for the places that have gone silent and prepared to burn them. Kale received the message, satellite interference confirmed. Karax hunting teams on the move, time to shift, he muttered. He turned to Varro. Take your people underground, deep, stay hidden. What about you? The elder asked. Kale gave a small smile. I'm not hiding, Rema tugged at Varro's hand. He's not just a soldier, is he? Varro shook his head. No, he's something worse. Across the forest valley, the first wave of Karax hunters landed, soldiers with heavy armor, glowing blades, and confidence. They spread out quickly, unaware that every step was being tracked. Hidden cameras watched them. Smart ground sensors followed their paths, and above them, a human drone sent coordinates to Kel's visor in real time. He moved before they knew he was close. The first soldier fell without sound. A needle to the neck, the second caught a knife to the leg, then a pulse blast to the helmet. By the time the third turned, Kale was already gone. Just wind, just whispers. In the Karax command post, Rothak saw red lights blinking on a live map. 16 men, gone. No gunfire, no alert. Just vanished. He clenched his teeth. This is no longer conquest, he growled. This is a hunt. He slammed his fist on the console. Bring in the Razor drones. 3 massive drones flew down from the sky, their wings humming with sonic blades. They scanned the trees, their systems hungry for targets. But the trees were already watching them. Kale stood in their path. Unmoving, the drones locked on, but before they could fire, a human satellite beamed a signal and the drone systems froze. Their screens flashed. One symbol, a white skull inside a gear. Then, like puppets with cut strings, the drones dropped from the sky and shattered on impact. Kale walked past the wreckage without a word, back in orbit. The Karax fleet began to break formation. They couldn't explain it, but something was wrong. Their systems worked, but nothing felt safe anymore. Every tool they had was being turned against them. It wasn't a war. It was a warning. One they had ignored. On the ground, Rema peeked from the hiding tunnel. She saw Kale cleaning his blade, checking his pulse sensor, calm, focused. She asked, will you stay with us? Kale didn't look up. No, then who will protect us? He finally turned, his voice was cold, but not cruel. You're not alone anymore. He walked into the trees, vanishing like he was never there. That night, above Yalara, the stars blinked differently. A full human fleet arrived, silent, cloaked, unstoppable. Not here to conquer, here to balance the scale. Humanity had heard the cry for help. Now they would answer it completely. Protocol judgment. Sky above Yalara remained quiet, but the silence had changed. It was no longer the silence of fear, it was the silence before a storm. Far beyond the planet, Earth's high command had received the full report. Images of destroyed villages, footage of fleeing civilians, the sound of a child crying. Buried beneath rubble, inside Earth's underground command complex, leaders sat in silence. The room was cold. No one argued, no one discussed politics, no speeches. Then, a single voice spoke, approve protocol judgment. No vote was needed, orders were sent, ships launched. The galaxy would now see what humanity truly meant by justice. In deep space, cloaked vessels moved like shadows. They didn't follow space lanes. They didn't show on sensors. Each one carried weapons that didn't need explosions, systems designed not to destroy buildings, But to erase empires, the fleet's AI received final instructions. They were simple, precise, clear. Strike without warning, leave a message. No one would misunderstand Earth's answer this time. Back on Yalara, Agent Kale stood beside a tall tree, watching a screen on his wrist. Blips appeared. Karak's positions, movement trails, drone signals. He didn't smile, but his eyes sharpened. There, preparing a counterattack, he said. A voice came through the comms. Fleet is 3 minutes out. Kale nodded once, then turned toward a group of Yalari hiding nearby. You need to stay underground. Don't come out until I return. Elder Varu hesitated. Return from where? Kale simply replied. From ending this, then he disappeared. Into the trees, on the Karak's command ship, General Rothak prepared for defense. His armor was polished, his weapons charged. He had fought dozens of wars, conquered systems, broken civilizations, but this enemy he couldn't see them. No. War cries. No face to hate. Just silence and sudden death. He barked orders. Shields up, fighters launched, scans at full power. Still, nothing. Then one of his officers screamed. A symbol had appeared on every screen, every control panel, every wall, a white skull inside a gear. Above them, the human fleet uncloaked, not all. At once, one ship at a time. Each one silent, each one larger than the last. No transmissions. No threats. Just their presence. And that was enough. The Karaks tried to fire. Their weapons didn't respond. Their targeting systems froze. Gravity shifted inside. Their control rooms, lights dimmed. Then screens changed. One word appeared. Judgment. Agent Kale reached the outer defenses of the Karak's forward base. Guards stood tall, alert. Drones floated above, scanning constantly. He moved like wind. 3 guards fell before the first. One even noticed. No noise. Only the soft thump of bodies hitting the ground. Inside the base. Alarms triggered. Too late. Kale moved through corridors, disabling systems, marking targets. Clearing a path. In the central room, he found what he was looking for: a tactical AI core. The brain behind the invasion. He placed a black cube beside it. The cube opened. Light spread. Then vanished. The AI core melted without heat. Mission complete. In orbit. The Karak's flagship suddenly dropped in altitude. Then it stopped. Everything inside froze. Air, fire, voices, even time. 1 second stretched into eternity. Then the ship blinked out of existence. No explosion. No sound. Just nothing across the sector. The same thing happened. Karak's war factories collapsed inward. Fuel depots turned to dust. Command satellites vanished from their orbits. Every system involved in the Yalara invasion was gone within 1 hour. Only ashes. And one repeated signal remained: let the stars remember what you did. On neutral planets, leaders watched these events in horror and awe. No warnings. No diplomacy. Just a clean, surgical removal. Earth didn't fight like others. They didn't aim to win battles. They ended wars. Inside a council room on planet Zelvon, an ambassador stood in front of her government. We should condemn them, someone said. The ambassador shook her head. Condemn Earth? She showed them the footage. Kale walking past a burning Yalari village, lifting a child from rubble. They didn't come to conquer, she said. They came because no one else did. Back on Yalara, the forest grew quiet again. Agent Kale stood near a river, washing blood from his hands. His face was calm, but his eyes held a storm. He looked up as a Yalari boy approached. Holding a small flower, Kale didn't move. The boy placed the flower on a rock beside him. Thank you, the child said. Kale nodded. Tell your people to rebuild. Will you stay? The boy asked. Kale turned to leave. No, but we'll be watching in space. The human fleet vanished once more. No records. No claims. No medals. Only stories, whispers, and one unspoken rule now echoed across the galaxy: if you hear a cry for help, you better hope they hear it too. Fear shifts direction. The galaxy had shifted, but not because of laws or votes or peace talks. It shifted because a single silent message had passed from world to world, shared through whispers, played through intercepted broadcasts, written on the faces of survivors. The message was not long: Earth is awake. That was enough. On a trade station in neutral space, a group of travelers sat in silence. The newsfeed above them replayed a short clip from Yalara, human ships floating in orbit, not firing, just watching. Like predators beneath still water. The camera shook, zoomed into one of the ships and froze. The broadcast cut off with a low, mechanical voice: judgment has been delivered. One trader dropped his drink, another left the station without finishing her fuel purchase, a third just sat still, whispering, we should have listened. In a council meeting far from the chaos, the debate was quiet, unlike the past. Normally, galactic ambassadors shouted, waved arms, threatened war. Not today. A holomap showed dozens of red zones where Karak's strongholds once stood. Nothing remained. No ships, no fleets, no distress signals, just blank space. The Tralvin Elder, oldest in the chamber, stood up slowly. He looked around the room of leaders. Most too afraid to meet his gaze. "We warned you centuries ago," he said. "You called Earth a backwater, said they were too young, too violent, that they didn't belong." He leaned forward, and now? No one answered. On Earth, there was no celebration. Commander Rhea stood at a viewing window deep within the Leviathan command core. High above Earth's atmosphere, below her, lights from cities sparkled. Planet-side peace looked beautiful from this height, peace that so many had died to protect in the past. She didn't smile, she didn't relax. "Status?" she asked. "Yalari systems secure." "Karak's presence, 0, her officer replied, "and the council, they haven't moved. But they're watching." Rhea turned back to the stars. "Let them." Meanwhile, the remnants of the Karak's dominion scattered like insects in the dark. Their central command was gone, their leaders vaporized, their planets blocked by warning satellites bearing the human mark. A few survivors tried to regroup on an uncharted moon. 10 ships landed. Hundreds of soldiers crawled into caves, hiding from the shadow that had destroyed their empire. But within hours, strange things began to happen. Communications failed, machines broke, one by one. Soldiers vanished during patrols. When the last commander tried to send an emergency signal, his screen flashed white. Then a message appeared. "We remember." The signal was never completed. The fear that once followed the Karaks now wore a different face. Children across colonies no longer feared alien pirates or warlords. They feared something else. Stories spread in playgrounds and underground shelters. "If you hurt the helpless, Earth finds you. They come without warning, they leave only silence. Don't ever make them angry." Some believed, some laughed, but no one tested it. On Yalara, the forests had started to grow again. Fires were gone. Wind returned. Birds, once silent, sang softly, but the people had changed. Rema walked with Elder Varu along a rebuilt path. Flowers bloomed where craters once scarred the land. She stopped beside the rock where she had first seen Kale. "Will they come back?" she asked. Varu looked at the sky. "No," he said quietly. "Because we're safe now." Then he added, "But if anyone else calls, they will go again." Elsewhere, in deep space, an Earth vessel drifted silently through the dark. It wasn't marked on any star maps, it didn't show up on scans. Inside, a team of 5 Ghost Protocol agents read a new brief. Another signal, another cry. A small planet on the edge of explored space had just been invaded. The leader of the squad tapped the datapad. "Permission to deploy?" he asked. An AI voice responded through the cabin. "Approved." Minimal response, no survivors. The team stood, no speeches, no war chants, they simply prepared. Because this was Earth's new promise, balance through fear, justice through action, and still, Earth said nothing. No press conferences, no threats. They let their silence speak louder than any empire's anthem. They didn't aim to dominate. But the galaxy finally understood. They didn't need to. The fear now moved in one direction, and Earth never had to raise its voice again. Balance through. Foreth moon above Yalara glowed softly, reflected in the rivers that once ran red. Trees had grown taller since the invasion. Children laughed again, but under the calm, something deeper moved. Not revenge, not hate, something colder, steadier. Memory. The Yalari would never forget who came to help and how they helped. They spoke the word Earth like a sacred name, not in fear, in warning. Far away, beyond known trade routes, a small outpost lit up with alarms. A forgotten mining colony, quiet for decades, suddenly detected movement ships not registered in any system. Then, one by one, their systems went dark. The last message sent from that colony was a single word: humans. But it wasn't Earth. Not this time. A pirate fleet had stolen Karak's weapons. They had seen the damage Earth had done and thought they could copy it, intimidate weaker planets, spread fear under false banners. It worked for a little while. Until the real thing arrived. The pirates were still counting their loot when the stars above them blinked. One ship noticed it first, a shadow on sensors, too cold to be natural, too quiet to be alive. They launched probes. The probes never returned. Then, without a sound, the lead ship split in half. No explosion, just metal falling apart like paper. The rest of the fleet powered shields. Too late. A message played through every channel. "We don't ask who you are. We ask what you've done." Then silence. Then fire. Back on Earth, Commander Rhea watched the footage. She stood alone in the Leviathan's upper deck, arms behind her back. Eyes tired but sharp. "They're using our name," her advisor said. "Pretending to be us." Rhea didn't blink. "Let them," she said. Her voice was calm, but the room seemed colder. "They want to wear our shadow. Let's show them what walks behind it." The strike team was deployed within minutes. Not armies, just a small craft, 5 soldiers. No colors, no flag, only a symbol etched into their armor, a white skull inside a gear. They didn't travel with noise, they didn't carry medals, they only brought one thing: balance. The pirate base was buried deep inside an asteroid field, tricky to reach, easy to hide, but Earth's ships moved through the field like water. Sensors blinked and failed. Comms jammed, lights flickered. Inside the base, pirate leaders argued, "Where's our backup? What happened to the outer perimeter?" Then the lights went out completely. Someone screamed, the door opened. And the humans walked in. They didn't speak, they didn't threaten, they moved through corridors like ghosts, marking targets, disabling systems, clearing the guilty from the innocent. The pirates tried to surrender, but surrender isn't given to those who steal mercy. The room where false Earth flags were made was the first to burn. By sunrise, the entire base was gone, not destroyed, removed. In its place, a single black drone floated in orbit, broadcasting only one message: we do not burn for power, we burn for truth. The galaxy had seen wars before, but this was something different. This wasn't conquest. It was calculation. Earth didn't spread fear by size. They spread it by silence. By precision. By the fact that no one ever saw them arrive or leave. On a council station near the core worlds, a group of newly elected leaders met in secret. One stood up. "They're too strong. They're too quiet. We can't let them decide who lives and dies." Another replied. "Then tell me who will stop them." The room fell silent, not because they didn't have armies, not because they didn't have courage, but because they didn't have the one thing Earth had earned: respect through restraint. Earth didn't occupy planets. They didn't take resources, they didn't install leaders. They came, balanced the scales, and disappeared, but everyone knew they were always watching. On a quiet planet, a young alien girl read a story in her school. It wasn't about kings or heroes. It was about a small world, blue and green, who answered a cry for help, not with parades, but with precision. Her teacher closed the book and asked, "What did we learn?" The class answered together, "Earth doesn't protect the weak. They punish those who break the rules." And somewhere, on a distant starship, Kale checked his gear. Another signal, another cry, another injustice. He stood, strapped in, and said only one word: ready. We came when no one died across the stars. Peace had returned, not by agreement, not by trust, but by the shadow of a quiet threat. Earth had done what no council, no empire, no alliance ever could, not because they wanted power, but because they refused to ignore a cry for help. And the galaxy remembered. On the rebuilt world of Yalara, trees had grown back taller than before. Wind moved gently across the plains, carrying the scent of new life. Rema, now older, walked the same path where she once hid during the invasion. Her feet moved softly through the grass, but her thoughts were heavy. She stopped by the old tree, charred, half broken, still standing, the same tree under which Earth had landed. Where her people had been saved, she placed a small stone at its roots. One word was carved on it: thanks. Not for conquest. Not for revenge, but for presence. In another corner of space, in a dark corridor aboard a prison satellite, a Karax survivor screamed into a recording. "They don't speak. They don't threaten, they don't leave signs, and yet they're always there." His hands trembled. His eyes darted to the corners of the room. "They don't need fleets, just five. And you're gone." The lights flickered, his voice dropped. "Don't answer the call. If Earth hears it too." The transmission cut off. It was never found again. Meanwhile, on a new frontier world where two alien factions fought over land, a third species, small, peaceful, was caught in the middle. They tried negotiating, begging, paying for protection. No one listened until a short, ancient signal was sent on an old frequency, one that most had forgotten, but not Earth. Inside Earth's command network, the signal lit up quietly. No sirens, no red lights. Just one word again. Commander Rhea read the report. She didn't speak for a long time. Then she gave the order: not to invade, not to retaliate. To observe. Above the conflict zone, a black human ship appeared. It didn't fire. It didn't announce itself. It simply stayed. The warring factions noticed, first with curiosity, then with concern. One general sent a warning shot near the ship. Just a test. The ship disappeared from sensors. Their fleet lost power 5 seconds later. Every control screen flashed: do not test the silence. The factions met the next day. They signed a treaty within hours. The small, peaceful species was left alone. And the human ship, it was never seen again. In a quiet council archive, a historian compiled the final records of the Karax invasion and the events that followed. She wrote, "They came when no one did. Not for glory, not for territory, not even for vengeance. They came because a child cried beneath burning skies, and someone somewhere heard her." She paused, then added, "The galaxy thought Earth was dangerous, and they were right, but they were dangerous only when silence answered screams. On Earth, life was simple again. Children ran through fields, artists painted the stars, engineers built tools to heal, not harm. There were no monuments, no war museums, only one wall, Underground, unseen by most, a digital wall with names, not names of heroes, but names of places Earth had answered. Planets, outposts, colonies. Yalara was the first. And the wall kept growing. Quietly. In space, Kale stood at the edge of a docking bay, suit sealed. Visor dim, a new mission had come, a new call. He didn't ask what species was crying or what planet it was. He just listened and stepped forward. The stars stretched above, cold and endless, but somewhere out there someone believed no one would come. Someone had given up, someone thought they were alone. They were wrong. Because Earth was still listening. Always listening, and when the galaxy looks away, Earth answers.